Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you. This time of this recording right now, we are 2 days away from the 2022 draft. One of the most crucial drafts the Seahawks have seen in a long time, coming off the heels of a losing season, going 7-10 last year, and of course losing Russell Wilson, franchise quarterback Bobby Wagner, their other defensive all-pro all-star. And so having one of the highest picks they've had in a long time in 2022. Obviously, a lot of focus on what will the Seahawks do with that number 9 pick in the 2022 draft. But I thought before we jump into that, I really wanted to talk about the drafts that the Seahawks have done since 2010. A lot of people, a lot of critics, and just fans in general have talked about how the Seahawks did some amazing things early in the years when they drafted, but then since then have really struggled to find good talent in the drafts and sucked in a lot of people's opinions. I thought, why don't we break it down and really see how have the Seahawks done in terms of the year-to-year drafts since the John Schneider and Pete Carroll came to the Seahawks in 2010. So what I'm going to do is break down each year of the draft with my own grading scale. And you might be asking, Norb, what is your grading scale? How do you judge a draft? Well, this is how I decided to do it, because there's no real scientific method, right? But got to come up with something. So I came up with a grading scale right here. And this is all based on the number of players drafted and the number of players who either became stars, became huge contributors to the team. When the number of players out of the number of players drafted, that would be the percentage grade on how well they did. So if they got, say, 70%, it's an A. 60%, A minus. 50% a B, 40% B minus, 30% a C, 20% C minus, 10% a D, and less than 10% would be a failing grade. Anybody wondering, why is that such a low grading scale? That's not, my kids would love to have that as their grading scale for their homework. But it's hard to hit 90 to 100% to get that kind of productivity from all the players drafted. It's almost impossible to hit that kind of a rate. So if you're hitting 70%, 7 out of 10 players becoming impact players out of a draft, you're succeeding. So let's jump right into it, shall we? All right, let's look at 2010 right here. 2010, this was the last time the Seahawks drafted so high in the first round, and that's because they were coming off of a 5-11 season under Coach Mora, who then got fired and replaced by Coach Pete Carroll. So in 2010, we had a couple of high round draft picks, and we did very well with them. 2010, our first pick was number 6. We got tackle Russell Okung. Turned out pretty good. Of course, our all-pro safety, Earl Thomas, with the 14th pick, we got him. And then in the second round, we got Golden Tate. 4th round, Walter Thurmond. E.J. Wilson, also in the 4th round. Ooh. Cam Chancellor, yes, one of the best. In the 5th round, Anthony McCoy. You guys remember him in the 6th round. Dexter Davis, a linebacker, in the 7th round. And Jamison Cons. Don't know who that is. And Aaron Curry. What's that name even being in there from the previous year? Bust! Anyway, so that's pretty good, right? 2010. So I gave that draft, got to give that one a solid A. We had 6 out of the 9 players in here that were pretty good. Russell Okung, Earl Thomas, Golden Tate, Walter Thurmond, he contributed. Cam Chancellor, of course, and Anthony McCoy. He had some plays. He did some things during that run, 2012 and 2013, and double tight end set. So I got to give him that. So I give an A to the 2010 draft. 6 out of 9. That's a 66% on my scale, and that's a solid A. All right, let's go to 2011. 2011, here we go. Again, we did have a late pick in the first round. So we got James Carpenter, offensive tackle, with the 25th pick. And then John Moffitt in the 3rd round. KJ Wright in the 4th round. Chris Durham, receiver, in the 4th round. Richard Sherman in a defensive back, of course, in the 5th round. Mark Legree in the 5th round. Byron Maxwell in the 6th round. Yeah, we got a couple of Legion of Boom guys right there in that draft. Lazarius Livingston, defensive lineman. And then, of course, Malcolm Smith, Super Bowl 48 MVP. So we did pretty good in 2011. So with those players, I count 5 out of 9 being impact players. Carpenter, was pretty solid. Moffitt, didn't quite pan out. KJ Wright, Richard Sherman, Byron Maxwell, and Malcolm Smith all contributed in some way as impact players. So 5 out of 9 on that draft is a 56% on my scale. That's a solid B for 2011. All right, let's look at 2012 now. This is one that everybody talks about. This is sort of like M. Night Shyamalan, the movie director who did The Sixth Sense. It's like he has a huge hit with Sixth Sense, and then after that, the rest of his movies were okay, but he rode the coattails of Sixth Sense for a long time. And much like this, when they talk about 2012, this is the best draft class they've ever had. So let's look at it. Of course, in the first round, 15th pick, Bruce Irvin, solid. Bobby Wagner, we just talked about, solid. Russell Wilson, what more can you say about him? Robert Turbin, is a good 1-2 punch with Marshawn Lynch. Jay Howard, Corey Toomer, Jeremy Lane, Winston Guy, J.R. Sweezy, pretty solid. Greg Scruggs, he was kind of in there, maybe not the high impact player, but he was a contributor. So in that class, the best class that we'd had, 7 out of 10, 70% on the 2012 draft. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gave him the benefit of the doubt on the Greg Scruggs thing just because he didn't make some plays, maybe a little bit of a stretch on the defensive end. So let's say I'm feeling generous. 7 out of 10, that's a 70%. That is off the charts. That's an A+ in my scale for the 2012 draft. All right, now this is where things start to kind of go a little bit downhill. Let's look at the 2013 draft class. We didn't have any first-round draft choices in this draft. So Christine Michael, Jordan Hill, Chris Harper, receiver, Jesse Williams, tackle, Harold Simon, DB, Luke Wilson, Spencer Ware, Ryan Seymour, Ty Powell, Jared Smith, Michael Bowie. Whew, there's a lot of swings and misses in that draft class. I think the only name really worth carrying over as an impact player, we got to probably just go with Luke Wilson. The rest of them, Christian Michael, he was around a lot, but he just, even though he was with us for Fusion and even came back later, just never really was the impact player you hoped he would be. And so I really only give Seattle Luke Wilson in that draft. That's 1 out of 11 picks. So this is by far their worst draft class, in my opinion. And I gave them, that's 9%, 1 out of 11. That's a solid F in my book. So the 2013 draft class, F in my book. All right, so moving on. Now this is the 2014 class. This is the year after we won the Super Bowl. And, let's see what we got. No first round pick we had because most of the time we're trading down. Paul Richardson in the second round, wide receiver. Justin Britt, tackle. Cassius Marsh in the fourth round. Kevin Norwood in the fourth round. Kevin Pierre-Lewis, linebacker in the fourth round. Jimmy Staten, defensive tackle. Jared Scott, Eric Pinkins, Kiro Small. So there's a few names off the top they did pretty well with. Paul Richardson, solid. Justin Britt, it's sad how he had to leave, but he would turn out to be one of the better players we had. Cassius Marsh, it's a tough one. I guess I got to give him a little bit on that one, but Kevin Norwood, Kevin Pierre-Lewis, the rest of those guys, really quite forgettable. I really should just give him credit for 2 here, but I guess Cassius Marsh, he did do some things. Wasn't great, but for the 2014 class, I'm giving 3 impact players out of the 9 drafted, so that's 33%. So that's a solid C on my scale for the 2014 draft class. All right, so moving on to the 2015. This is after Super Bowl 49. So of course, we're moving down low, no first round pick. So how did we do? Second round, Frank Clark, ding. Tyler Lockett, yes. Terry Poole, Mark Lewinsky, yeah, okay. Ty Smith, Omum Gwacham, Christian Sokoli, Ryan Murphy. So, once again, out of that class, to me, 3 solid players. Frank Clark for sure, Tyler Lockett, obviously, Mark Lewinsky, borderline, but I'll give him credit. He was pretty productive for us in that crew. And so 3 out of 9, or I should say 3 out of 8 in that class. That's a 38%. Again, another C draft class. And I feel like I should give him at least a C+ because out of those top 2, you got Frank Clark and Tyler Lockett, both, as you can see, both Pro Bowlers, and of course Tyler Lockett also an All-Pro. So maybe I bump it up to a C+. But just again, based on the numbers on my scale, still in the C+. Then I give it to him. All right, moving up to now the 2016 draft class. Here we go. We did have a first round pick. I remember this one. The Seahawks had a draft party. I remember being there for that. Almost second to last pick in that draft. We had Jermaine Ifedi. Then in the second round, Jaron Reed, CJ Prosise, Nick Vanette, tight end, Reese Odiambo, Quentin Jefferson, Alex Collins, Joey Hunt, Kenny Lawler, Zach Brooks. No real superstars out of this group. Probably the best one would be Jaron Reed. I really wish we could have brought him back, but he chose to leave Seattle. After that's a lot of okay guys. Jermaine Ifedi for a first-round pick. Didn't work out. CJ Prosise could have been great. Just too many injuries. Nick Vannett, kind of again, one of those borderline. He was always around, but was he high impact? Quentin Jefferson, he's back again with the Seahawks. Alex Collins, he's one of those players, again, that brought him in the first time. He left, came back, and, was pretty productive. I think you had to give him a little bit there. So for 2016, I gave them 2 out of 10. So I had to go with Jaron Reed. I think I'm with Jaron Reed and Quentin Jefferson, because those guys have been productive. And maybe I should make Alex Collins. Is he impact guy? He was just a guy who was there, take place of the guys who were injured. So I don't know if I can't do it. I gotta go with 2 out of that one. 2 out of 10. That's a 20% hit rate on the 2016 draft class. So in my book, that's a C-. A C- draft for 2016. So not doing so well. After 2012, so far it's been Fs, an F, and a lot of Cs. But how do we do in the next year? 2017. We've got, oh my goodness, one of my best draft songs, actually, here. Did the Getting Jiggy With It parody with Will Smith. So 2017, no first-round pick again. And our first pick, though, second round, Malik McDowell, ATV accident. Ethan Posick, yeah. Shaquille Griffin, Lano Hill, Nazir Jones, Mar Darbo, Dedrick Thompson, Mike Tyson, cool name, not much of a player. Justin Sr., David Moore, Chris Carson. All those were pretty good, especially at the later rounds there. But some of these are like borderline, or they're really impact players. So what did I go on this one? 2017, I went with 4 out of 11. So I think what I went with was Ethan Posick, Shaquille Griffin, and then David Moore, Chris Carson. 4 out of 11. That's a solid 36%. I should give them a C+ just because of the fact that they got so much out of David Moore and Chris Carson, better than what their draft status was. But nonetheless, it still lands them at a C in my book. 4 out of 11, 36% hit rate. Maybe you can bump that up to a C+, but still a C. So 2018, where does that put us? 2018. All right, this is actually one of the better draft class, believe it or not, even though we were shocked at this number one first pick here. Rashad Penny, you guys remember that when they picked him at 27? Like, Rashad Penny, what? Why are we getting him in the first round? But we did. Rashad Penny, Rasheem Green, Will Dissly, yes, Shaquem Griffin, Trey Flowers, Michael Dixon, hell yeah, moved up in the draft to get him. Jamarco Jones, still kind of, jury's still out on that one. Jacob Martin, Alex Magoo, Mr. Magoo. So, a couple of big hits on that one, but at the same time, a lot of misses too. 2018, I gave them 4 out of 9, 44%, which would be a B-. And I think I had to go with Rashad Penny, just because, heck, we're bringing him back and we're all excited about it, right? So you better prove us right in this year to come. Will Dissly, obviously, they signed to a big contract. I think they were paid for him, but Will Dissly, been solid. Hopefully he'll have another injury-free season and be productive, not only as a blocking tight end, but maybe catch a few more passes again, too. Of course, Michael Dixon, probably the steal of the draft here. One of the best players, obviously the only All-Pro and the only Pro Bowler out of this group that we got in this 2018 draft class. So how did I get 4 out of 9? I must have went Penny, Dissly, Dixon, and I think I'm hanging on to Jamarco Jones, that he can still bring us something in here. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not even sure exactly what his status is right now. I guess I'm hoping that there might still be some hope for Jamarco Jones, but not even sure what his status is at the moment. This could maybe even drop to a C, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt as a B- on this one with 4 out of 9. The players in the 2018 class. Let's go to 2019. Now we're getting to this point now where it's kind of getting close to where we are in this season, and so the closer we get, it's obviously hard to tell exactly how these players are going to pan out because, well, they just haven't had that much time with the Seahawks. But 2019, that means these players are going into their 3rd year, so we're really looking at a small sample size, but you can still kind of project what you think they're going to do. So 2019, we had first round pick LJ Collier, Marquise Blair, DK Metcalf, Cody Barton, hopefully big plans for him this year with Bobby leaving, Gary Jennings Jr., Phil Haynes, Ugo Madi, still in the mix. Ben Burkervin, you know, not exactly special teams guy, but not exactly, you know, like first, you know, starting material, but he's been pretty consistent except for getting injured this past year. Travis Homer has been in there. DeMarcus Christmas and John Ursula. So a few names that you like and a few that are real questionable in this 2019 class. LJ Collier, not feeling it. Marquise Blair, though, he's still, I think he's got something to prove and still can make an impact. DK, of course. Cody Barton, expecting great things from him this year. Philip Haynes, maybe still has the potential to do something. We'll see. I hope I'm not misreading what his status is with the Seahawks. Ugo Madi, still going to give him, you know, opportunity here to make an impact. Ben Burkervin, again, just perennial special teams guy. Travis Homer, key to the offense, and then forget the other two guys, sadly. So what did I go on 2019? Wow, did I really rank him that high? I put 7 out of 11. I give this guy, this is the highest rating, one of the highest ratings post 2012. I went 7 out of 11 on this. I must have been feeling really, optimistic about these guys. But obviously, Marquise Blair, Metcalf, Barton, Haynes, Madi, giving Burkervin, even though he's not a starter, that you know, extra little benefit of being a solid special teams guy, and Travis Homer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are my 7 picked out of there. So hopefully they have another year to prove me right on this, or else I might have to look back and laugh at myself for giving them an A- on this draft scale. Okay, feel free to comment, by the way, if you completely think I'm off my rocker here with my grades. And I'll sum up the grades at the end here. Let's go to 2020. This is not last year, the year before. Oops. 2020. So, Jordan Brooks. Now, of course, too early to say. Now, we're really getting where it's only like they've only been here for a couple of years, so it's really hard to tell. But Jordan Brooks, Darrell Taylor, those two guys are looking pretty solid and important. Damian Lewis, solid. Colby Parkinson. Maybe this is the year he breaks out. DJ Dallas, you know, part of the system going forward. So, got to count on him to a certain degree. Alton Robinson, hopefully, continues to break out. Freddie Swain, he's been an impact guy. Stephen Sullivan, that's probably the one guy on here who has not been much of a name on here. So, it's been a pretty good 2020 class. We'll find out. I'm sure some of these names won't be as big as, you know, like DJ Dallas right on the border there. But I gave 2020 6 out of these 8 players. I consider them to be impact guys. And really almost straight down the list. Brooks, Taylor, Lewis, those guys for sure. Parkinson, good chance. Dallas, that's the borderline one. Robinson, I think he's going to be there, making an impact. And then Freddie Swain, you know, he has been. The question is, where will he be in this next, you know, can he take the next step up, or is this going to be it? We'll find out. But, you know, we have that need behind the number 1, number 2, and the number 3, number 4 receiver. Will he find his way? Will he make his name rise in the ranks as one of the solid 3-4 guys in the wide receiver depth? I'm counting on that he will. We're going to need to. So, pretty good draft class when you look at it that way. For 75%, 6 out of 8, that would be an A draft. So the last two, 2019, 2020, have been pretty good. Now, that's assuming that they continue to do good and some of these guys maintain their level of productivity. Now, finally, we look to last year, and it's obviously too early, only 1 year of play, but we can make some guesstimations here what we think. Dwayne Eskridge in the 2nd round, Trey Brown in the 4th, and then Stone Forsythe in the 6th. This is a lot of speculation here, guys, because a lot of these guys were banged up or didn't play much. Dwayne Eskridge, you know, was injury prone most of the beginning of the year. Trey Brown was doing pretty well. He was sat on the bench, and then he got his opportunity. Then he got injured, and then Stone Forsythe has just been kind of buried in the depth chart. So my guess is, I'm thinking, in a perfect world, 2 out of these guys make it to where they have an impact on this team. 3 would be a stretch. 1 if we're lucky, at least to have 1. And I'm going to say, I'm not feeling it with Stone Forsythe. Dwayne Eskridge, you didn't prove me very much the first year. Maybe you'll break out this year, but to me, the only one I feel pretty solid about is Trey Brown. Trey Brown was doing really well up until his injury. So I'm going to say Trey Brown will be the one guy who's going to make the impact and, you know, potentially have that life beyond his rookie time here with the Seahawks. So that would be a 1 out of 3. That's a 66%. That would be a solid C for the grading scale for 2021. All right, so let's just look at the full thing. Here's the final grades that I came up with here. 2010, an A. 2011, is a B. 2012, A+. Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner draft. 2013 is an F. 2014 a C, maybe C+. 2015 a C. 2016 a C-. 2017 a C. 18 a B-. 2019 a stretch at an A-. 2020 also stretching with a lot of wishful thinking as an A, and 2021 a solid C. So that's where I rank our draft classes from 2010, the Pete Carroll, John Schneider era. You can disagree with me. I'd love to see what your take is on what you think you would give the overall grade to each of these draft classes of the past 11 years. But this one is going to be very interesting. And that number 9 pick, whew, man, will there be laser focus on seeing what Seattle does? Will they trade back? Will they pick? And my guess, if I were to make a bet, I would say bet. I don't like to bet. But if I were to guess, based on what we really need, and we have a lot of needs, my hope is that they would go edge rusher at number 9, that they don't trade back, that they go edge rusher at number 9. There's a lot of good pass rushers in this draft, but that's, I believe, after watching what the Rams did last year, pass rush, that was the key to them winning the Super Bowl last year. Was, obviously they had all the other pieces too. Don't get me wrong, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald, all that, but it was the pass rush that really saved the games for them, whether it was against the Niners in the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl. It was a pass rush that ultimately got the job done, and I think was the most critical part of it. So that's something that Seattle's desperately needed. And really, if you have a good pass rush, there's less dependency on the secondary and the safeties to be great, because if the pass rush can get there, you don't need to have the very top talent in the secondary. So I think it just comes down to the pass rush. So that's what I hope Seattle will do with their pick at number 9. So we'll see what happens, but I will be live streaming from the Seahawks draft party on the shores of Lake Washington during that point of the draft. So I'll also be going around and trying to get interviews with people, just general reactions of what they think of the team this year, the departure of Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner, and just to get a general sense of the fans' excitement level or non-excitement level for the team. I know a lot of people are talking about taking their flags down and giving up on the Seahawks and thinking that they're done, and I just think, wow, one bad season and losing a quarterback, of course, it's hard not to get depressed. But man, you're gonna go pack up shop already and give up on your team? Come on, where's your loyalty? Come on. Anyway, so tune in live on YouTube when I will be broadcasting from the Seahawks draft party Thursday night. It's gonna be a fun one. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a while, been traveling a lot, and still under the weather with this strange cold that just won't go away. But glad to be doing this. The draft is always an exciting time of the year, so we will see what happens on draft night. But I'd appreciate it if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment. Greatly appreciate it. We'll talk to y'all later. Take care, and go Seahawks.